So Disney bought Lucasfilm back in 2012, kept Kathleen Kennedy running the show, and the plan was huge. They were going to do new trilogies, standalone movies, Disney Plus shows. They were going to do all of it. And the sequel trilogy did make over $4 billion. But then over about 10 years, Kennedy and Disney just ran the whole thing into the ground. Instead of focusing on good storytelling and actually planning things out, Kennedy spent her time making the Force's female t-shirts and checking casting boxes. They pumped out 7 live-action shows on Disney Plus, and only one of them was any good. So now it's been 7 years since the last Star Wars movie, and Disney looks at what they've got and they think, okay, we've got Baby Yoda. This little green puppet became a merchandising monster, worth over $1 billion. The Mandalorian is the most watched original series in Disney Plus history, 1.3 billion hours streamed. So somebody at Disney goes, all right, let's just take the show, basically stitch together a bunch of episodes, charge people $15, and watch the money come in. Who needs a strong script? Who even needs a reason for this to be a movie? Baby Yoda prints money. Except this Friday, the numbers came in. And it turns out Baby Yoda does not, in fact, print money. Mandalorian and Grogu opened in 4,300 theaters and made $33 million on its first day. On its own, $33 million sounds like a decent Friday. But this is Star Wars, and the lowest opening day for any Star Wars movie in the Disney era belonged to Solo. Solo made $35.4 million opening day, back in 2018, before inflation. And that's the movie that became the first Star Wars film to ever lose money in theaters. I mean, think about that for a second. Solo was considered such a disaster that it killed an entire franchise expansion plan. A whole lineup of planned spin-offs got canceled overnight because of it. And Mando just opened worse. That sent the whole industry into wait-and-see mode over Saturday and Sunday because the big unknown was families, walk-up business. Disney was banking hard on that and families did show up. Walk-up business was solid, but not solid enough. Over the 4-day Memorial Day frame, Mando landed at about $100 million domestic. The international numbers are even worse. It opened in pretty much every major market at the same time, except South Korea, and only pulled in $63 million overseas. That's $163 million worldwide. Solo did $165 million over the same corridor, and Solo's 3-day domestic number was $84.4 million, which adjusted for inflation comes out to about $112 million today. So that's it. Officially the worst opening for a Star Wars movie ever, adjusted for inflation. The production budget was $165 million. That's actually the cheapest Disney-era Star Wars film. But the marketing was full blast. They bought a Super Bowl spot, that's about $10 million for 30 seconds. They did promo spots at WrestleMania, at the Oscars, both of which I'm sure cost a pretty penny. This was a very aggressive campaign. They spent at least another $100 million in advertising, probably more. So the actual cost is somewhere north of $265 million. And when you add it all up, people close to Disney's decision-making say the film needs $500 to $600 million worldwide to break even. And just to remind you, Solo made $393 million total for its entire run. So Mando has to significantly outperform the biggest flop in franchise history just to break even, starting from a worse opening weekend. Disney's line is that the audience scores are phenomenal, and they are. Kids under 13 are going nuts for it. An A- on CinemaScore, 5 out of 5 on PostTrack from kids and parents. Premium formats like IMAX and Dolby are making up 53% of all ticket sales. IMAX is booked for 3 full weekends. Disney keeps comparing this to Project Hail Mary and Michael. They say Mando could leg it out the same way. The industry isn't buying it. The Hollywood Reporter got a quote from an exhibitor that's just perfect. They said Mando is mostly meeting our mid-expectations, that nobody expected this to be huge, especially once their piss-poor trailers launched. They said Disney was smart to step back from theaters after Rise of Skywalker, but then spent that whole time making 7 live-action shows, only one of which was consistently great. Which brings us to the second weekend, because that's the whole ball game. If the drop is steep, and a lot of people expect this to be heavily front-loaded, the movie is cooked and Disney is almost certainly losing money theatrically. If it holds, maybe there's a path to breaking even. I wouldn't bet on it. This is not going to be another Project Hail Mary or Obsession. Disney might already be okay with that, because their real argument isn't even about the box office. They're saying this movie drives value across the whole Disney ecosystem, like merch, parks, Disney Plus subscriptions. To them, Mandalorian and Grogu isn't really a movie. It's a $165 million ad for everything else they sell. So if you went to the theater this weekend, congratulations. You paid $15 to watch a streaming ad on the big screen. I really liked how The Hollywood Reporter put it. Their headline was, "The Mandalorian and Grogu won't lose money. It may not rescue Star Wars either." And that's really the whole story right there. As for who's responsible, this project was greenlit under Kathleen Kennedy. She's gone from Lucasfilm now, but her successor Dave Filoni was heavily involved in this movie. He and Jon Favreau are the guys who built most of the Disney Plus shows. They flooded streaming with content and then tried to turn one of those shows into a theatrical event. And this weekend, the audience told them what that's worth. Disney is saying the next Star Wars film, 2027 Starfighter, is the real test. Their argument is that Mando doesn't really count because it's a streaming show that jumped to theaters, not a real Star Wars movie. One rival studio executive actually agreed with this. They said it's a Mandalorian movie with very little new Star Wars characters in it. It's not a Star Wars movie. But come on. You can't spend $265 million, put the Star Wars logo on it, release it in 4,000 theaters, and then say it doesn't count when it underperforms. That's just moving the goalposts.